Let's start talking, Joe.
Hey, family. Thank you for turning into Our Roots podcast with Joseph Babaifa. We're only the strongest roots. See the light. Brought to you by Botaniga Candles and More. And if you haven't had the opportunity, hit that subscribe button. Hey, Lola, we're live.
Oh.
Yeah, she watches me at home.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, Lola.
Phil, what's good?
Hey. What's up, everybody? We are live. This is not a premiere. We are live in the flesh, so we can respond to your comments. Just want to say hello to everybody, and if you are in the chat, make sure you say hi, because it's going to go crazy here. You know, make sure to leave your thoughts. I also want to let people know, since sometimes these chats get a little crazy, so we are welcoming super chats. They are welcome. Definitely. So if you want your comment to go straight to the top, just go ahead and drop a super chat. And also, don't forget, since this live is available to everybody, we do have a membership program that allows you to get extra access to us. That means extra shows, early releases, just shows just for you guys, and discounts on merch. So other than that, it's pretty cool. How you doing, man?
Good. What's up, members? Everything's good, Phil, man. Great week, productive week. Sunday and the body knows it, you know, just getting ready for Monday.
Yeah, you know? let's say hi to some of the members here. His name is, or their name is so long.
Ifa Sakin. Yeah, Aboru Aboye, Oboado, brother.
Yeah, there you go.
Aboru Aboye, Team Tireless.
Okay.
Hey.
You Alex? Can see the TV, right? You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. We got Joaquin,
Boru.
Kathy is here.
Boya, good evening.
Yeah.
Boru, thank you.
Trinity
was good.
All right.
Alex, ready for another episode on this lovely Sunday. There you go.
Nacho Libre.
Blessings, mejao. All
right.
Dada, Sara Malongo.
Someone says hello to me. Cool.
Afia. Oh, there you go, Phil. Getting some love.
All right. You ready for the first question here?
Here we go.
This one is from Bacon. Whitney Bacon.
Oh, Bacon. Nice. Can you explain the Odu Obeyono? Oh, man. To explain the Odu Obeyono, we'd literally be here for a week. It's an amazing Odu. It's one of the most important Odus in the whole spirituality of Ifa. I would say top 5, especially amongst the Omolodu, or the mixed signs that aren't the Mejis. I highly recommend a video that we're going to be coming out with called Hand of Ifa. Really delving into that as much as possible and profoundly. And there's a huge segment in that video on your Odu, speaking about the selection of destiny, Obatala Yala, which is the Obatala that constructs the heads, and everything in between. But Obeyono is Surubaba Niwa Peleo, which means patience is the father of good character and conduct. If you have patience, you will be royalty, you will be God. So in that Odu, Orumila became king through patience. So what is patience? Patience is knowing someone else has the wrong answer but not correcting them. Patience is knowing you could physically dominate someone in combat and choosing not to fight, and everything in between. So that's the key with Obeyono. Patience. Divine patience.
Okay, good one. All right, here we go.
Can you talk about Oshemeji? Yeah, Oshemeji is a great Odu. It's one of my favorite Meis for sure. Top 8 for me. Crown, if you have Crown, please learn. That Odu speaks of when people first started divining with the cowrie shell. Oshun there is probably the most impactful Orisha. Make sure you have a good relationship with her. Orumila as well. You know, and it says that the person has a spirituality of Babaluaye that walks with them. So make sure you attend to him, and you might even receive him one day.
Okay. All right.
Boru, I have a question. I've been waiting to ask for a long time. Where is the knife born? This is really appropriate today because we just did the video on Ogun Nameji. It hasn't been released yet. A lot of people think that the knife was born in Ogun Nameji, but it was, how do I put this? It's really a dichotomy between Ogun Nameji and Osameji. The Odu Owani Mosung plays a huge role there. Ochemoluo, my Odu of Irete Suka. But a lot of people say it was actually constructed in Babao Sameji, or it was constructed in Ogun Nameji and consecrated in Osameji. I think better said. But the modern form of the knife as we know it is in Ochemoluo and in Irete Sukankola. And it speaks of the story where the guy, wouldn't dedicate himself to Ifa, so he started doing labor with a piece of metal that was sharp that would cut his hands. And ultimately what it led to was the Orishas adding the wood to the metal to create the handle. That's why that Odu of Osheo Gunda says, el cuchillo no hace su propio cabo, right? It needs a counterpart. So all of those Odus and more. You know, I left some out there just for ceremonial reasons. But really it's Ogun Nameji. It's the proverb that, a knife has no owner. You know, a knife could cut your enemy just like it could cut you. You know, so it's really Ogun Namei, but it's a much more complex answer because all those other Odus play a role there for sure. But Ogun Namei, short answer. Oh, here we go.
Nacho Libre.
Thank you, Mihao. Ask a question. God bless you. Bendiciones.
All right, so until that question comes in, here we go, from David King.
Can you talk about Owani Shidi? Absolutely. Owani Shidi, I mean, it's known as the Odu of the monkey of nine tails. In that Odu, we have to be careful pursuing things that aren't productive for us because in that sign, the princess wanted the monkey and, they had Ochosi or Ode, however you want to interpret it, to go hunt him down. And when she had him, it wasn't what she expected. So that Odu says that the person has to be careful begging for things or asking for things from God that once they have them, they're like, man, I should have never asked for this. Owonring Odi. Nice Odu. I'm a fan.
So we are on TikTok.
Shout out to TikTok.
So let me just let everybody know if you're watching on TikTok, say hi. I do have TikTok on my phone now, but yeah. So he's a little low. Can we raise him up some on that? So I'm gonna try to read some comments from TikTok as well as they come in.
All right.
So Mystic on TikTok says, "Can you speak of Ogbe Irosun?"
Oberosun, Obesurun Tele Manyenifa. And that Odu is where fashion actually manifested. And that sign was where human beings, and this is also in the Odu of Ochenilobe, was where human beings started using feathers for clothing. So ideally, the person should wear clothing that resembles feathers or utilizes feathers somehow. But Oberosun is a blessed Odu. But the feathers were born there, and when they were utilized for clothing.
Awesome. Okay. All right. This is from Trinity. I think it might be a Mojuba question that you guys are doing. So
nice. Yeah, he's in the course. In the Mojuba, do I put Irete Suka for Oluo? Yes. And do I add other people in the Atibo Boegung Emi section? So if you were going to add ancestors or Egungs, it would be right before that. Because Atibo Boegung Emi means and all of my spirits. So it would be right before then for the ones you want to single out.
All right. Okay. All right. So here we go. Also, if you're on TikTok and you really want a better camera angle, come on YouTube.
Obviously. Oh gosh, I hope it's flattering.
I mean, you look fine. It's just.
That's all that matters.
You're not the really nice camera. It's just an iPhone.
Yeah.
But hey, TikTok won't give me the code to stream with on the desktop. So once I get that, then we'll be unstoppable.
There we go.
Anyway, here we go.
Baba, is Osang a Congo spirit? No, he is not. I guess, well, the thing is a spirit really can't have an ethnicity. Osang, if he is Congo, he's Yoruba, he's Mandinga, he's all these different things. I mean, the herbs are present across the world. But our Osang, The problem is you look at the book and it says Osang was a deity that was assimilated from the Mandinka tribe, right? Of which I have blood, by the way. Fabulous warriors.
Nice.
But I can't say that because you say the word Osang in the Congo, they're going to be like, who's that? They're going to say Gurufinda, you know? But Osang is Yoruba, you know, Osanyin. So when you see the convolution of the Congolese beliefs upon the Osang tradition from a Lukumi Yoruba standpoint is in Cuba, when all of them converged upon the island where a lot of Awalaos got scratched and a lot of Paleros did Ifa. That's where you see that convolution because they're very similar from an archetype standpoint. But no, he's not Congo. He's not Congo. Forgive me.
All right. This is about the results from Hand of Ifa.
Okay. Baba, how long does it take to see results after getting the Hand of Ifa? Well, you can see results immediately just based on the ceremony. But you won't start seeing the full encompassing results until you get the recommendations done from your Hand of Ifa. What do I mean by recommendations? The things that were actually written down and identified via Iking divination, when the Bawalao was going like that, and they were asking questions and getting yeses or no answers. So that's when you start seeing results in full capacity. But a lot of people, and everybody's different. I came down with a lot of spiritual debts. My life didn't really change until I received Cuchillo or Guanado 2 years after doing Ifa. That's when I met the love of my life. I procreated shortly afterwards, opened a business. That's when my life really changed. Now, that doesn't have to be the same for everybody. But, it depends. Some people, even before the Hand of Ifa is over, life changes. Some people, it could take years, So it all depends on your Odu, your character, etc.
All right. Someone's asking, how do they send super chats? So if you are in the chat, right next to the chat box, there's a $sign, and you can click it, and you can send any dollar amount super chat that you want.
Thank you.
There's a couple of TikTok ones that are asking about Oyekumeji.
Oyekumeji is the oldest sign in Ifa. Wear red as much as possible. The person basically can do whatever they want in the spirituality based on their characteristics. It's an Odu of consecration. The person won't be fully happy until they've assimilated Ifa and their partner considers Ifa, or at least respects it and supports them towards it. I got criticized on Facebook recently for this, but that's the Odu of Jewesung, who was loosely translated as Jesus, right? Why the herbs sleep at night. The person may have like Christian or Abrahamic transcendency or origins, but a beautiful Odu, the oldest, it's the Ifa of the darkness. So try to do things, try to find a balance between, being an early bird and being nocturnal. It's
all
hard.
right.
Horns?
Yeah. Trinity.
Thank you. What are all of Ogun's tools? What's the point in having them in the pot? The tools of Ogun were born in the Odu of Baba Ika Meji, and they were the tools that Ogun used to work to be able to buy Orumila's farm because he was an indentured servant. So that's where the tools of Ogun were born, and the bow and arrow belongs to Ochosi, and that was incorporated in the Odu of Ogunda Sa when they made a lifelong pact to be partners.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Greetings. Can you talk about Otura Ka? Otura Tuka says disobedience can cost you your life. As long as the person listens to Ifa and Orisha, they'll be just fine. The person's meant to crown, for sure. It's also the Odu where Eshu initiated, and why, we get hit with sticks the day we come out of the room of Ifa, and why our Yubona protects us. All of these things. So Otura Ka is meant for great things, and they'll accomplish them. Right. Receive it gungung, for sure. There we go. How do you recommend practicing patience? From Starlit. Oh, man, practicing patience. Have kids. That's when you'll learn patience. For those that, choose not to or have other situations, the best way to practice patience is to let go. to alleviate yourself of the need for control. Even me in this position, I still have to learn it because of some of the the things I see online or the interactions I have. Sometimes it's important to know when you lost, but it's always best to know when you've won. And you have to know when some people just aren't worth your time and energy. But that's hard, depending on the environment you're from, your surroundings that you grew up in. So you have to know that, not everything deserves a reaction. And that's hard. And if you know that certain people are going to behave in a way where you're going to be unable to respond cordially, it's better to avoid, So that's the best advice I've given up until this point, or I've been able to come up with.
All right. This is from Nix. It might be cut off, but let's see.
Alafia to all this evening. 2 questions. Why does life turn upside down after the hand of Ifa? And when is the Osa
Mehi broadcast coming?
Awesome. So why does life turn upside down after hand of Ifa? It's not that it's obligatory to turn upside down. It's just at that moment your soul has penetrated the brain for the first time, and that comes with some frustration or some resistance. It's like when, we give, when a woman gives birth, the child's going through trauma, the woman's going through trauma. Believe it or not, the dad's going through trauma. All of these different things. So that's why it can be a little rough. That's why it's best to get the ebo done as quickly as possible. Osa Ka is coming out soon. We recorded Ogun today. So it should be out within the next month. It's within the next 2 videos that we're recording. One of them will be Osa Ka. We had the spiritual panel, which did excellently. We had the interview with Brother Melau. So the May series, we had a little hiccup, but we're back on it. I promise.
All right. Here we go. From Hotlanta.
There you go. Can you talk about Oshep Bile for Omo Chango advice? Oshep Bile, in that sign, the son of Shango became famous somehow. Now, not all fame is good. The person's meant to consecrate, depending on their characteristics. They could become Babalawo, Oriate, or Orisha, what have you. But they're meant to practice Orisha for sure. Use as much coconut product as you can. Try to ingest a decent amount of coconut. Use coconut oil to cook, hair, skin products, etc. It says that the coconut blessed the person there in all ways. Ingest coconut water, helps with the kidneys, hydration, etc. There you go. We appreciate it, but give us a question, please.
Yeah, give us a question. Okay, so we got Team Tireless Fishing.
There we go. Can you talk about Owonring? I would imagine they're talking about in the shell, the Erindi Logun, which is the number 11 for us in the Lukumi tradition. It's also fully known as Owonring Shobe in Isheshe, as far as the shell. Owonring says it is never productive to take water out in a basket. So this Odus states that we have to make sure that the things we invest time, energy, and money into are actually going to work. Like, we can't just, be tricked into a pyramid scheme, dump our savings into it, end up with a Bernie Madoff situation. If things are too good, it might not end that well. So this Odus says make sure that if we're taking something with a basket, that it's not going to fall through. You have to do your research, your investigation, protect yourself, and never put your well-being in the hands of somebody else, because they're not responsible for you like you are.
This is from TikTok from Wendy. Do you still initiate people into Ifa?
Absolutely. Yeah, the doors are still open for now. Yeah, I don't know how things are going to look in 5-10 years, but for right now, yeah, the house is open. Any ethical, upstanding individual in the community, you're more than welcome to incorporate into our organization. The first step towards that is scheduling an IFA coaching at botanicatiendosandmore.com, where we can go over the process and discuss your future.
Someone says, this is from TikTok again, this is from Cinda Rose. Is it difficult starting out with the hand of Ifa?
It depends. It depends how much you assimilate it. Some people get with the program pretty quickly with their Odu. Other people, it's pretty traumatic, where it's like, oh my God, look at all these changes I have to make to live in alignment with my destiny. So it really depends on you, the amount of time you put in, the amount of effort, the amount of study, and all of those things will lead to a positive result and outcome. There you go. Thank you.
You all can leave comments about,
We appreciate it, but please put me to work.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Here we go.
What would be reasons for people to have to initiate? Example, hand of Ifa.
Hold on, before you ask that, how did you get the username of just B?
Yo, shout out to B, man.
Please,
You might
how do you just
have
get one
won.
letter?
And that's no disrespect to Hemp Lord. I mean, there's some real OGs with some great names, but I don't know if you invented TikTok or being watched. You may have won.
How do you just get the letter B?
Shout out to everybody, but B might have won.
Yeah.
Reasons for receiving Hand of Ifa: being a sentient human being. Every human being is meant to receive Hand of Ifa. Girls from 7 days on, boys from 9 days on. Orumila does not need a reason. He is the reason, right? You have some people say, no, Orula is just a deity that you receive, like Orisha Oko, Lokun, Ibeji. The whole religion is Orumila by way of Ori. So without Orumila, you're not practicing Ifa. All right,
Again,
appreciate you. Thank you, man. This college fun. We gotta put these kids through school, man. You guys are the best.
Hey, and if you do leave a super chat and you don't leave a question, make sure you leave a question later on so I can come back to it. Please. We members, please. Yeah, we got probably 100 people watching here and like 80 people watching on TikTok. So I got to manage. I got to manage a lot of comments.
You're
here.
a talented man, Phil.
So if you are watching on TikTok, I do prioritize the YouTube comments first. So if you have something eager, definitely get off TikTok and come to YouTube. But I have my other phone sitting here next to me while I'm doing that. So
nice.
And we just got like 3 super chats. So here we go.
All right. Horns. Awesome. Thank you, Sam. Hello. Can you give us a basic understanding of Eshu and the benefits of having multiple? Advice for Obeate. Thanks. I mean, when you're looking at an Odu like Obeate, where when you look in the book, Obeate has like 4 Eshus off rip, you know. Benefits of having more Eshus. To be honest with you, the Orishas and the Ebos are almost like cheat codes or level ups from a video game.
Game Shark.
Yeah, for sure. Like bro. Oh man. I crashed my my PlayStation a couple times with that thing. But every time you receive one, it unlocks a new aspect of your life and progress. So you can have as many Eshus as you can take care of them. It's kind of like kids, you know. If you can take care of them and you're mentally prepared for that and emotionally, yeah, go ahead. So Eshus are the same thing, and they all live together in your Eshu shrine. But Obeate, now here's the thing as well. Like if Obeate is your sign of Hand of Ifa, I wouldn't overinvest in it if you're trying to become a Ba'alau. If not, get as many Eshus as your will permits. But if you're a Ba'alau with Obeate, yeah, get all the Eshus you can, you know, because that's where Eshu came down from heaven in the Lukumi tradition. That's the Salaye. So,
all right.
Yep. 2 questions. What's the Odu where the person wears an anklet and why? And my favorite story of Shango. The Odu of the anklet, there's a couple of them. You have Irete File, where the Sajuero was born for the tamborero, or the person that goes to the tambor. In Odishe was where the iron anklet was prepared for the child of Olokun. I think he had a daughter there that was Abiku. And my favorite Shango story. Oh my gosh.
Oh man, that's like there's so many.
Just me and Shango, we have that's the Orisha I respect the most.
Can you explain who Shango is for Kalen here? Because he's unfamiliar who that is.
Shango is the king of our religion. He is Kabiesi. He is your highness. He is the direct son of Olodumare. He is lightning. He is thunder. He is fire. He is the drum. He is the quintessential example of virility, right? And masculinity. He was a beautiful man, you know. Had some hardships. Overcame them, you know, learned from them, grew, matured. He was a fabulous example in his later years, for sure. My favorite Shango story comes from an Odu that I hold very dear, which is Osa Ka. That was my grandmother's Odu. And she was a daughter of Shango. And in that Odu, it speaks of a girl who wandered into the jungle after her parents told her not to. And there were 3 men who were coming to rob her and, you know, take advantage of her. And this girl was a daughter of Shango. And at that moment, she looked to heaven and said, you know, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Please help me. And she started crying. And Shango opened up the heavens and he threw 3 lightning bolts and killed the men. He set them on fire, whatever. And he he looked at his daughter. He said, "You see why you got to listen?" And she said, "I will." And she went home. So that story always really, affected me because being it's my grandmother's Odu, and just knowing how strong of a woman she was and how faithful she was to that Orisha, and seeing how he was with his children, it made me love him even more. So forgive me. Yes.
All right.
Osa Ka. Okay.
Yeah, $20 one.
Holy moly, that's why it's a different noise.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain Osa Ka, please? Well, with a $20 donation, I got to go in depth now. Osa Ka. This Odu is the Odu of the circus. Ifa says in this Odu that the person cannot live a circus. The person has to lead a very organized, presumably boring, monotonous life. Now, that doesn't need to be a bad thing. The majority of the time, ideally as human beings, we should be doing the same thing every day, working towards our goals. Exercising, decent amount of rest, watching our children grow and helping them progress. All of these things, right? But Ifa says that you have to be careful because not everybody in your circus or your situation, forgive me, is loyal or is worth being around you. You have to eliminate a lot of people because in that Odu, the ringleader thought that the lion and the tiger and the bear were all his friends and all these different things. And, he was blinded to their treachery. So he visited Orumila. Osa Ka was revealed where Ifa said that he needed to perform sacrifice, right? And when he did to Eshu one night opened a hole in the circus cape, right? And when the light shone in, it showed all the nonsense that was going on. It was a freak show, much more than the ringleader was paying anybody for. So he said, "The hell with this," and he abandoned it completely and started a new life. So that Odu says that the light is going to be shown upon things that you're going to have to accept. You're going to have to accept people for who they are and eliminate them or remove yourself from the situation if you want to survive. Because men can only survive around lions for so long without being devoured. That Odu speaks heavily of Eshu. It's the Ifa of the clowns, right? And that sign was where the two masks of theater were born, the laughing mask and the crying mask. Laugh now, cry later. That saying was born there. One of my favorite Drake songs, by the way. And that Odu was actually where the teardrop tattoo was born, where it was synonymous with murder. So that Odu says you have to be careful with any type of underworld or illegal activity. It has to be avoided altogether. And God forbid if mom's not here, a severe necessity for ancestor worship, specifically with the maternal spirits. So, Boru, thank you. Thank God I had water. Can you talk about Obarasa, hand of Ifa, Omo, Badala? And that sign...
Do you need another one?
Yeah, I'll take one. I'll take one if possible. I appreciate you.
You got it.
And because it looks like we're rolling already.
Mm-hmm. We got about 125 on YouTube.
My Lord.
And about 60 on TikTok.
Good God bless you people. In the Odu Obarasa was where the cat lived with Obadala. The white cat, specifically. It's actually one of the Odus where it's taboo for the child of Obadala to have a cat. And the cat would steal from Obadala unnecessarily. I think it's a kleptomaniac, the one that steals. Yeah. That's that Odu. And one day, the cat was eating the fish, and Obadala walked in. So the cat had to swallow it without chewing it. And Obadala walked out, and the cat suffocated and died. Oh, no. Rather than confessing, thank you, my brother. Rather than confessing, what he did, he would have preserved his life and, maybe did a little time, but that was about it. So that Odu says that don't be the cat in the negative, Don't steal, don't do things behind people's back, be honest, try to live an authentic life, and you'll do just fine. But in that sign, the son of Obadala used to get in trouble, and he had to go running to Obadala to save himself and crown. Obarasa says, you're not crazy, but you act like you're crazy. But you might become crazy by acting like it. So that Odu says, once again, live an authentic life. Be yourself, and you'll be loved for it. You don't have to perpetrate anything. Not saying you are, but it could be that people are trying to do that with you. You got to be able to fish out who's real and who's not based on their actions, not on their words.
Ah, okay. Here we go.
What do you recommend is needed to receive for somebody with the sign of Okanawete?
Hold on, before you continue, we got a queue of these, so if you guys want your questions answered, prioritized.
It's like Tetris.
Yeah,
You know?
I got. Hold on, 1, 2. I got set.
How many?
4 more to go.
Good God.
No, 5. Which one are we doing that right now? The
Okanawete.
okay, so I got 3 more on the way.
Okay, righteous. Right on. Okay, so I'm answering the question. Forgive me.
Here, you want to see it again?
No. I remember it. If you are Okanawete, do the things from your hand of Ifa. You have to receive a gungun, because that's the Odu of the puppets and the marionettes. It speaks of when the wood was influenced by spirituality, and for those who are aware of the gungun icon, that's kind of what it is. It's a bunch of pieces of wood that are spiritually prepared. So receive a gungun. And it's up to you whether you want a crown or not. But you can. If you want to do Ifa, you can. Depending on your characteristics.
Okay. All right. We got another one here.
Thank you. Can you talk about Iroso Wani? Yeah. There's a lot of information there. In the Odu of Iroso Wani was where Obatala had a landscaping business. Like he would cut, grass. Make a lot of money. He must have been in Florida, but but he was getting older, so he wasn't having an easy time delegating things because he was a perfectionist and he felt like his employees were incompetent. So he would try to do everything himself, and Orula told him not to. He didn't listen with the divination of Irosowani, and he lifted a log, and it caused the disc in his back to come out, leaving him somewhat hobbled and paralyzed. With that Odu, you want to avoid that. Ifa says you want to avoid laborious activity. Don't be lifting heavy things. Learn how to delegate a little bit more so you can have a quality of life. We're not meant to, like, my first job was in a sweatshop, like literally folding towels, no AC, 100 people, get it how you live. I don't have to do that now, But I appreciate those moments, but I don't have to live with the frustration of that's how my, career started. I've learned that it's not always about perfection, it's about productivity. So even though one of my employees might not do things the exact same way I would do it, I have to recognize when the result is the same and accept that, because if not, I'm never going to really progress, because whoever tries to do everything themselves will be in the same position in 10 years. It isn't until you teach 10 other people how to do what you do that you'll be much further along. It's the only way to progress is team building.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, we got another one.
There you go, more fire. Hello, can you explain Odi Oshe for a child of Elegua by the Dilogun? On this channel, we don't interpret the double letter for the Erin Dilogun because in our humble opinion, it doesn't exist. It's a ghost throw at best. But I can interpret the Odu of Odi, right, for the child of Eshu. In that Odu, Ifa says that the person should invest in themselves spiritually. You have to be very careful because the Odu of Odi says that the person could become so materialistic that they ultimately have nothing. This Odu says that the more that we invest in ourselves spiritually, the more we will have from a material standpoint. But the more we invest and try to buy things that are material, we will both be spiritually lacking and materially lacking. So that Odu says, don't try to buy too many ornaments and objects and articles. Invest in yourself spiritually. Figure out whether this is what you want to do or not, because Odi has great talent and potential. It is the born Orisha and born Babalawo, depending. So be more spiritual. And I'm referring more to the economic standpoint. If the abo is that much, do it. You're going to get 10 times as much. It's like, for example, when I have a yobe enita of Ifa, right? That's my vivencia, as we like to say. And Ayobe says, never negotiate the price of animals, right? So when I go to my animal guy and he tells me, yo, the ram is $250, all right, here's your $250. I remember one day he asked me, he said, bro, you don't negotiate with me. I said, how can I negotiate with you? I know you're giving me your best price up front. It's the life of an animal. I can't really put a price on that. So whatever you say, I got to accept it. But I know that when I do what I'm going to do for the client, everybody's going to be just fine. You're going to be paid. I'm going to be paid. The client is going to be satisfied, not only with the ebo, literally, but the results that are coming after that. So Odus says we cannot be so numerical. We have to understand that it's investment for a reason. It'll cost $100,000 investment to make $100 million. Just depends how far you want to go. So that's Odus.
All right. So this is from TikTok, from Matatao1.
Awesome.
Baba, please explain how women can initiate/receive Iyami.
Oh, man. The Iyami Oshoron got manifested in the Odu Baba Osa Meji or Eleseye Meji. I have heard that the Iyami Oshoronga icon is available. I've met various people that say that they've initiated into Iyami. I've always understood this to be a very Isheshe thing as far as the initiation into that sect. You'd have to really discuss that with people who are initiated or initiating into that. We, the Lukumi Bawalawo, personally interact with them on a very, esoteric level. Like, we perform Ipeshe, food to the witches. We really don't invoke them other than that. We kind of leave them alone. We don't want to give them attention unless they want our attention. But I do know that in Isheshe, it's very popular now, with the Renaissance period that's going on within the last, 20 years. I personally am not initiated in it. I can't say I'm necessarily initiated in it, or I'm necessarily interested in it. But I know that, it'll provide some benefits if done correctly. But that's something that's very Isheshe Nigeria. Like, I don't know how that really works, because I've heard that you have to really go back there to initiate into that. But there might be options here. Things change. I don't know. But make sure you do your investigations. And forgive me, it's just not a theme that I've really wanted to delve into other than just knowing how to appease them and leave them alone.
All right, back to Super Chats.
Nice. Can you share a pataki of Yemaya or Okute? Yemaya Okute, was Ogun's wife. She was the one that would go to war with him by his side. She had to be very careful because there were a couple of situations where she almost embarrassed Ogun, right? Like when he went to war in Ogun Namasa, got afraid of, or became afraid of the frog. Yemaya embarrassed him in front of everybody. There's versions where Yemaya was unfaithful to him, with Bawaluaye, and the dog caught her and, ripped off her mammary glands and, Ogun beheaded her. That's why she's known as the Yemaya that runs through the jungle with the head bouncing up and down. So, a little bit of a polemic path, but, it's about avoiding those behaviors if that's your path.
Okay. Back to the Super Chats.
Nice. Aboru, Baba, what advice would you give the person with the Odu, Obetumako, Omo, Rumila?
And this one is right under it, but there's no question. That's just who I can't pronounce your name, but
Creativity, I would imagine.
Oh my! How did you read that?
That's the brain. That's like that
Bro,
exercise where it's
how?
I don't know, man. I'm bugged
you
out, man.
You speak Leet?
I don't know what that is, dog.
That's that language. It's called Leet.
Yeah?
Yes.
I don't know. It was pretty easy for me. I don't know why.
You were, man, give some likes for that. Like, for real, y'all. Okay, all right.
It's just being a father. That's all. With that, when you're a dad, you have to understand a bunch of unlegible, script. God, what was the question? Obetumako. As far as Omo Rumila, we're all Omo Rumila. So now, if it's an Isheshe thing, they don't identify an Orisha, so I might understand that a little bit more. Obetrupong's great. I fell in love with a woman that's Obetumako, and I've had a bunch of beautiful kids with her and raised a lovely family with her, so I love that Odu. It's where Ire, or the blessings, first manifested, so that's nice. Obetumako was where Shango first did Ifa, where the children of Shango first started getting initiated as well. It's a beautiful Odu. The Ire was born there, the prodigy child, continuing education, just really, really wonderful stuff. Receive Gungung for sure, please. And, figure out what you want to do because Obetrupong has great possibilities, and please don't have caged birds. Can't have caged birds in Obetumako. And no illegal activity, please.
Okay, so creativity They did.
Yeah.
They did leave. There you go.
I hope they didn't write it in the same language.
There you go.
Boruboya, can you give some career life path advice for someone with Owani Mosung as their sign in hand of Ifa Oni Shango? Oh man. Owonring a Mosung, Awoi Tana, Awoi Gugu Mafung Ashe Adifa Fungi Mole Abu Fung Shango. Owonring a Mosung, it speaks of the need for humility. Right? And that Odu is where Orumila consulted the king with that Odu, Owonring Irosu. And Ifa told him to sacrifice the largest rooster in the village. But the king didn't want to because that was his prized pet that lived on the roof. So Rula was like, well, Ifa says if you don't perform the abo, you're going to die in 3 days. And the king was like, well, if I don't die in 3 days, I'm going to kill you.
Oh, my gosh.
And Orula was like, okay, that escalated quickly. So Orula went back to the house. He did a bowl. He saw himself with a Wani Mosung, ironically, which was his Odu as well. And the day of the execution, they went to go get Orula. And they brought Orula to go get executed. And Orula was like, man, I tell you. But the rooster, as the king was coming out, actually got scared by Eshu, who was offered to by Orula. And the rooster, through his freak out, moved a huge rock that was on top of the palace, and the rock rolled off the roof and fell on the king's head, and the king died. And they all looked at Orula and said, well, you called it, so you're the king. And the first thing Orula did was sacrifice the rooster to Eshu. So wow. That's Owani Mosung. So from a career standpoint, Ifa says, stick to your morals, stick to your virtues, don't allow yourself to be swayed. From another standpoint, avoid the toxic behavior of the king, where he felt like he knew everything, and don't be afraid to eliminate people to be able to progress. Because most of the time, we have to lose everybody on the way to our goals, and the people we're meant to proceed with are the ones who are there when we achieve them to a certain degree.
Also, let me give a shout out to people on TikTok. TikTok will cut the feed at an hour.
Oh, no.
So we probably will go over an hour. So when that happens, make sure you come to the YouTube channel. But back to the Super Chats.
Why are people intimidated by Ofumbile? Ofumbile is a really blessed sign. I mean, my teacher, Ifa Fibimbi, Lasarido Ofumbile, he was a very prodigious Bawalao, hundreds of initiates under him. It's just somebody that is surrounded by Ifa, Bawalaos, etc. Someone such as me, I mean, or anybody that's self-confident isn't going to be intimidated per se. The people that are intimidated, you have to be careful due to their self-consciousness. But if you're intimidated by Ofumbile, it's because you're ultimately envious of his prospects. So that, I would imagine it's because of that. And Ofumbile is a very proficient Bawalao, and he's somebody that moves a multitude of people. So if someone's intimidated by you, they're your enemy there, because it usually stems from envy.
All right, we got about 200 people watching.
Collectively?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we got more
Super
Super
Chats.
Chats.
But you're here. Thank you. Can you explain the Odu Ogunda Masa? Thank you. Ogunda Masa is a beautiful Odu. The person needs to initiate into Orisha, at least. If they have the characteristics, I would do Ifa, but at least Orisha, please. Because in that Odu, it speaks to a lot of those themes. Ogun and Oshosi are two of the most important deities there. That's where Elah first manifested and descended upon the metaphysical mind of the Bawalawo and the pineal gland. The inspiration of Ifa that causes us to be able to prophesize and divine. It's a beautiful Odu with a lot of great prospects. The Ifa of the eagle, Awodi, who's the protector of Ifa, who a lot of people syncretize with Shango, Ogunda Masa says, you know where you fall asleep, but you don't know where you wake up. So that Odu says that we need to have a lot of stability in life and routines so that we never feel displaced. That can cause a lot of instability.
All right. Back to Super Chats.
There we go. Borubawa. Why is it in Ishe consultation there is one Toyale, and in Lukumi consultation There's one Toyale and two witnesses. Oh, Isheshe. Great question. So over there, they have two witnesses too. They just don't write them down, right? So the construct of the consultation is the same across the world. And this is in the Odu of Obetumako, for the person that has that Odu. Because in that Odu was where Orumila was the Toyale. And when he went through the needle hole between heaven and earth, which was the border of the market of Ejibo Mekung, he put one baby on the front and one baby on the back, and he basically jumped through the hole and everybody survived. So that's why when he landed, that was the Odu, right? The first baby was Adele Kang, which is the first witness, and the second baby was Adele Meji, which was the second witness. And those witnesses, or testigos as they're known, Adele, are the Odus that identify the Ire or the Osobo or the Ayewo. So that's why in the Lukumi tradition, we base ourselves ironically off of a traditional verse to write them both down. So I don't know, they might not be writing them down over there. So, but that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, whether they write it down or not, there's testigos. They're just not writing them down, maybe, in that lineage.
All right.
There we go. Okay. How do you feel about Santeros trying to pull different guardian than what came out during receiving Kofa de Orula before crowning? What do you think? I think that is the biggest sacrilege that anyone could perform. When Orumila has spoken, no one has a right to interject. You know, and this has nothing to do with Babalawos, Oriates, Santeros, nothing of that regard. Enemies of Orumila will not be tolerated. So if you are trying to contradict what Ifa said, you are not practicing either Ifa or Orisha, and you should be shunned. So my criteria is that anyone who's doing that, we need to turn our backs on, because, you know, it's just not going to be tolerated. Orumila is not to be interjected upon. Once Ifa is spoken, regardless of whatever the opinion of the Babalawo is, he's spoken, right? It's not to be rectified with the shell or even another Babalao. So if you don't like the Guardian Orisha, crown whoever you want. Don't bother throwing the shell, trying to ask another one. And if you don't want to use a Babalao, then don't ask the shell either. Just crown whoever you want, because Osaroso says that it's Orula. If you're going to ask. If you don't want to ask, then don't. But that's the biggest sacrilege I've heard in quite some time, amongst other things online.
All right. Shout out to Brett.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Leave a comment, but... All right, we got some more. Hold on, let me... Boop. There you go. I got a new sound effect.
Hi there. Can you speak on Okana Sode Omoaz Ohano? With all of the children of Bawaluaye, please crown direct. That's really all I ask. Okana Sode, I would imagine you have Ifa because you have an Odu. Wear your Ide as much as possible. Okana Sode, Sode Ke, Sode Omo, Sode Oge, Batio Sode, Arikuba Bawa. Okana so ide means okanrang tied the ide, right? So wear your ide as much as possible. You know, Oshun is a huge deity there. Really the biggest deity there technically is actually Erinle or Inle. So that's interesting as well. All of those things can be kind of focused on after you crown. I think Okana Sode, if you are going to crown, please crown direct and study Ifa as much as you'd like. And that Odu is actually where the phobia of thunder and lightning first manifested. So, you know, you have to be careful with any kind of anxieties and whatnot. But beautiful Odu, you know, one of the most important, you know, it saved a bunch of lives. Without Okana Sode, none of us would have any green and yellow on. So really great Odu. Study Ifa as much as you like, you know.
All right, heading to TikTok here. This is from Honey Bun.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Irosu Batrupon?
Irosum Batrupon or Iroso Batutu.
Someone put a crown on your head. I don't know how they did that.
Oh, thank you.
On TikTok.
That's what's up.
How you do that? Oh. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
The most important sacrifice that Iroso Trupon does is offering a turtle to Shango. And that Odu is why the turtle dies upon his own sword. That Odu is where the turtle betrayed Shango. Shango found out, and the turtle tried to attack Shango with the point of the shell behind his neck. And Shango grabbed him, bent his head back, and ripped it off with the same point. So that Odu says that the most important sacrifice is to rapidly offer a turtle to Shango, and that'll be life-changing there.
Rapidly. What's the time frame there?
Immediately. I mean, as soon if that was my godchild, okay, we did the hand of Ifa. More than likely that would have came out in the recommendations anyway, probably, or if not, it makes no difference. Once you get the things done from your hand of Ifa, I would highly recommend let's get organized to give a turtle to Shango, because that was born in that Odu. I mean, Osa Ka speaks of it as well, but Irosum Batutu, from a traditional standpoint, that's the turtle to Shango.
Gotcha.
Litauro as well.
Shout out to Whitney Bacon.
Yeah, man. B, you gotta be careful. That's a great name.
Yeah. And then we got Bernil. He always
Beniel,
comes through.
Boru.
I got to give him one of these because
shout out to Beniel. Please respond.
Shout out to
Reach
him.
out to me. I sent you some adimus on Ajay and whatnot. Please continue the dialogue, man. We appreciate your support. God bless.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're a busy person. I know you are.
Yeah, he always does some great stuff.
Word.
Okay. All right, here we go. Boom.
Greetings. We did that one.
Oh, my bad. Mm-hmm. It's because it refreshed. So now
all is forgiven.
Now I can't even find it on the screen. Here we go.
Oh, can you please speak on Oyekumba Trupong?
There we go. Okay. Did we just talk about that too?
No, we didn't. Iroso Trupong.
Oh,
good ear. Oyekumba Trupong. In that Odu, it speaks of the war between the Yorubas and the various tribes of Africa. Specifically, the people from Carabao, or the Carabalís, as we call them, which is like the Abibio clans and, the Efiks and the Efuts or the Abaquas, right? In that Odu, the person has to really spiritually hunker down and get organized. That Gungung is huge because it says that the person has a lot of ancestral debts. And, whether it's to a Boveda or they're a Gungung icon, they're going to help organize all of these spiritualities. But until then, Kumba Trupong is usually running around in circles, trying to, accommodate their life or get organized. So Egungung's huge there. Ancestor worship of any kind, definitely incorporate it.
All right, I gotta do
careful with pork.
I gotta do all the sound effects on this one. So hold on.
Oh God. Oh gosh. Of course, man. Yes, the man is here. Shout out to Beniel. Oh my God. Well, I'm gonna take quite a little bit of time on this one now. But Obebara.
And adjust the seat.
Yeah, yeah. Obebara. Obebara is known as the Ifa of the double crown. So for anybody that's familiar with like Egyptian history and whatnot, like the double crown that the pharaohs would wear, that was born in Obebara. It's known as the perfect balance between Obatala and Shango. In that Odu, it's the famous story of when the prince got lost in the marketplace. Emioba, omoloyomo, mioba, omoloyomo, akorikoba, omoloyomo, emioba, omoloyomo. And that was the song that the prince sang when he was accidentally switched with the ram that was going to be sacrificed in the box. And when the king, who was Shango, heard the song coming from the box, he's like, oh my God, open the box. And it was his son, So that Odu says that with our children, we have to make sure that we incorporate them enough in our lives so that they don't become frustrated with us. Like this Odu speaks of the importance of interactions, right? If we're blessed enough, our children think we're somewhat cool and want to be around us and interact with us. So in this Odu, Shango was a very busy guy. He was a busy king. He was an affluent guy. His children had everything they needed, but the one thing he couldn't always give them was time. And it wasn't really a focus for him because he was like, I got to provide, which plagues a lot of, accountable men to their family. They just want to make sure that we're provided and protected for and, whatever else. But this Odu speaks of the importance because in this sign, Shango could have had a little more work-life balance and spent more time with the prince, where the prince didn't become so rebellious and start leaving the castle and experimenting and all these other things because he really just wanted to spend time with his dad. He was really trying to get attention, right? And it really almost put him in a life-threatening position. So the Odu of Obebara says that we got to spend time with the kids. All the money and all the influence and things that come with success and aptitude pale in comparison to our children and their opinion of us. So it's very, very key to be very family oriented there and know when to say, hey, I've worked enough today. Let's spend some time and go over life, how this thing's supposed to go. From another standpoint, in that Odu, it says that the child of Shango constantly wanted Shango's attention. You know what I'm saying? And the most important sacrifice that's done in Obebara is the ram to Shango with that suyere, It's a life-changing ebo there, kind of like the turtle to Shango is in Oso Ad. So it speaks of that. I'm going to drop 3 patakis.
Before you do that real quick.
Oh, gosh.
If you're watching on TikTok, it's about to cut us off on TikTok, so join our YouTube channel right now because we probably got 30 seconds left on TikTok.
We appreciate you.
So if you're on TikTok right now, come to YouTube. So there you go.
Obebara. Oh, forgive me, got a message from the boss. Okay.
I saw it, yeah. Somebody on TikTok wants Ogbeksa, so after you do that,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Obebara. This Odu speaks of, there's so much information here, man. There's a pataki that I actually learned from a brother Oriate years ago when this Odu came out. And that's why you got to learn from everybody. You can't have no ego or nothing like that. We learn from each other. And I remember he dropped it, and I was like, man, that's pretty good. In the Odu Obebara, it speaks of the fight or flight complex, where the person has to fly more than they fight. So in this Odu, the white dove was always trying to go to war with the snake. And, the pigeon or the dove was constantly trying to get gangster with the snake, and the snake obviously is a natural predator. But the dove was very frustrated by this, and he went to visit Orula because he was constantly getting sunned by the snake. The Odu of Obebara was revealed where, Orumila said, you're having like a mental thing that really isn't based in reality with an enemy. He's like, yeah, the snake keeps scaring me away, but I want to kill him. And he said, well, why do you want to kill him if you could fly away? He's like, no, because I want to have the satisfaction. He said, well, the satisfaction of life isn't enough. Surviving, being able to avoid. And the dove quickly realized, man, what am I doing fighting with people that are beneath me? Because the dove can just elevate. So this Odu says that, we have to be like the dove. We have to understand, hey, not everybody's worth our response. There are people that are beneath us, because they haven't elevated and worked on themselves. And we have to know when to be like, hey, I've won. The hardest thing to know is when you've won, not when you've lost. The loss, you'll see it on the scoreboard, but the win is difficult to view because all the things that come with that, all the convolution and people trying to create self-doubt. That Odu, another great thing that's done is giving 2 white doves to Ori. It's pretty staple there. The head rogation with breadfruit. Agayu speaks heavily. And to take baths with a plant known as Hiedra, Hiedra, because that plant was born there, and it really tends to grow within cemeteries or very humid places, etc. And the Hiedra plant was pretty frustrated because he always felt rejected by people, the sun, the other plants, etc. And he was looking for a place to be able to call home and not feel so rejected. He visited Orumila. Obebara was revealed where Ifa told him to perform sacrifice and deposit it at the cemetery. And when he got to the cemetery, he immediately felt welcomed. Like, it was ironic that the only place he ever felt comfortable was surrounded by dead people because they wouldn't reject him. So he said, this will be my domain, and I'll interact with Egum. So Egungum's huge there, ancestor worship. I love Obebara. I really do. I mean, it's a bombastic Odu. The Ifa of the flamingo, or the flamingo based on the way he would move. And he would talk with his hands, like people, found him very charismatic and intoxicating, Fabulous Odu for whoever has it in your situation. I hope I gave enough. We sincerely appreciate you. Sincerely.
Yeah. Okay, so the TikTok just ended.
Oh, man.
So hopefully people have made it in. And if you are one of the 140 people that are in the YouTube right now, if you want to know more, because sometimes these chats get a little congested. If you want to know more and you want to be a part of a more intimate audience, we have shows that are just for members.
Yep.
Shows just like this that are only for members. And if you want to join that, all you have to do is hit that button directly under this video. It just says join. You can select your tier. VIP members also have their own chats as well. So if you have some serious questions and you need some coaching or advice from Joseph, join in on that too, because there's definitely no way I'm going to be able to answer everything. So
You said Obesa, right? Was next?
yes. So hopefully they join the YouTube. Hopefully they're here.
Either way, it's an Odu I like talking about, right?
Okay.
I'll give 2 patakis because I think they're indicative there. And the emphasis of my answer is to avoid any negativity, right? So in the Odu of Obesa was where Obesa, the person, had a very bad habit of disrespecting women, right? And specifically his partner, who was a child of Oshun. And, it had been made apparent to him through Ifa divination or her family that, hey, that's not going to be tolerated. Let's get reorganized and be a family. Let's keep things calm. But he was pretty arrogant, and he thought that he was untouchable and prepared, to defend himself. Well, he hit her again. And Ochun was related to these giant crabs, Akang, as they were known. And they said, okay, that's the last time you hit our relative. And they actually yoked him up and they beheaded him.
What?
In front of the whole community.
What?
So that's what we get for being disrespectful, right?
Okay.
Obesa's biggest taboo is to annoy or bother the children of Oshun. When you see a child of Oshun, try to maintain things as peaceful as possible because it will not end well for you. So that's the first one. Secondly, in Obesa, it is the Odu where the person has to separate from the mother in a constructive fashion and be independent. We cannot be mama's boy, mama's girl, any of those things, right? Because in this Odu was where Ochosi and the deer went for divination on separate occasions, right? Ochosi was told to perform sacrifice to be able to catch the deer, right? Which he did, but he did it halfway. He never took it to the destination. And the deer was told to perform sacrifice to not suffer a premature death. She did, but she did it halfway. She didn't take it to the destination. So one day, they ran into each other in the jungle. And Ochosi shot his arrow. And the arrow didn't hit the deer, but it hit the deer's son. So Ochosi picked up the baby deer, and the deer went running back to Orumila, and they both went complaining, saying, hey, I did a bow to kill the deer, and I got the baby. Or the deer was like, hey, I did a bow to save my life, but I lost my child. And Orula said, well, did you guys do it as I instructed? No, we never took it. We only did half of the recommendations. Well, then you get half of the results. That's why Obesa says, haga la cosa completa. It's a person that if they're not careful, they're just going to be 50%ers throughout their life. So make sure you do things completely and you find a way to be independent. Not living with mom after a certain age and, things like that. To be an independent, productive human being in society. Boruboy Vuchiche.
That was beautiful. All right, here we go. Back to Super Chats.
There we go. What do I have to receive before crowning Shango with Ikao Gunda? Orumila, if you don't have it. Well, obviously you do if you're Ikao Gunda, forgive me. It's just so many people are doing Orisha without Hand of Ifa. It's just, I mention it as a stipulation because it is so common now, unfortunately. Do the things from your Hand of Ifa, what came out, what was written on the paper, literally, and receive a gungung. And after that, crown Shango, But Ikao Gunda speaks of the importance of ancestor worship because that's the hunter of Olofing, right? Where the person was saved by a female, chimpanzee. And he was supposed to marry her, and he flaked on her the day of the wedding.
Oh, no.
And he escaped. So the female ape is a metaphor for the ancestors, or a gungung. So you need a gungung. Then you crown Shango. And if you want to do Ifa, if you can, great. If not, just manifest within Orisha however you see fit.
Okay, we got another super chat.
Oh, Lord. First warrior feeding soon in Duval. Any advice?
You gotta say Duval? You gotta say like that.
Duval. Congratulations, right? I'm guessing you're the professional that's going to be performing the sacrifice. Either way, if you're the one receiving it, what have you. Advice, be prepared, be punctual, be polite. Understand that you're being let into somebody's home or somebody's being let into yours, I think they should understand, manners and things of that nature. Be clean. Let's not leave people's house a mess. And follow along, follow instructions as best you can. And may it multiply and provide the best results.
All right, here we go. More.
What are the risks of crowning the wrong Orisha? Do you have any VIP Q&As soon? I think we do. I got to ask the boss. But
we'll let you guys know, yeah.
Yeah, of course. The risks of crowning the wrong Orisha are large, right? And this really applies to Lukumi more than anything because, let's say the question was asked and it was done incorrectly, that's an issue. This is why, honestly, the Oro concept of Chango Oro Agayu or Yemaya Oro Olokun, not ideal. Legitimate, but not ideal. In the Odu of Oturasa was where the lizard, or Agemo, wanted to be a child of Shango, I believe. And he was identified as another Orisha. But he's like, I'm going to crown Shango anyway. And they say when they crowned him Shango, the day of the initiation, when, everything was done, he dropped dead. So this Odu says that, and this is Oturasa, which, apart from that, has huge connotations within Orisha. I mean, the song, Ewi mahi fawod he awo hekimewo. Ewi mahi fawod he awo kimewo. Manifested there, which is the song when we bring the Yawo out during the drumming, and this is public knowledge, anybody could be there, is sung, right? Kind of commemorating, hey, this person's being crowned, etc. So Turasa is an Odu that speaks heavily about Iddosu, or Orisha initiation. So you definitely want to crown the right one. We definitely don't want to be, rectifying Orishas and all these other things. It just leads to very negative results. So it can be catastrophic and deadly. So short answer. Do you have any advice for me? I received Hanabifa last year here in Tampa. My name is Obara Trupong. Obara Trupong. Obara Tutunini Adifafun Olokun. That was actually my grandfather in Ifa. Literally the man who initiated my godfather, not just his teacher. Ibae, to the Babango. Obara Tumu, as it's known. The best thing you could do there is make offerings of watermelon to Olokun. If you don't have Olokun, it's a very ideal deity. You might want to receive it after you crown. Egungun is very important there because in that sign was where Oya walked 9 times around the hospital to avoid death. And who helped her do that was Egungun, her children, the 9 sons she had. So I would say Egungun, and it's a pretty broken record here, but it's one of the most entry-level deities that's going to provide huge results. So definitely there, and that's where the intelligence of Obadala manifested. Make sure Obadala always has 2 coconuts in front of him, ideally painted in white, that you clean yourself with and you leave there for your clarity, etc. Be careful who you leave your children with, by the way. Black blood, right? Is there any class in the near future available from online? I'm in prison and would like to stay up on my studies. We do have the 4-week curriculum. Going over those entry-level topics, right? That's one course. And then we also have a course on the Mojuba, which is available as well, which is doing splendidly. All of those are available as we come out with new curriculum based on requests, My regards to you and hold your head,
Yeah. All right. Got another super chat coming in right now.
Awesome. Can you speak on the sign Oso Ad? Oso Ad is one of the Odus that actually waits for the Ebo in heaven. It's somebody that, definitely on an annual basis has to be doing an Ebo from their Odu. Avoid anything illegal whatsoever. Because in that sign, Oso Ad tried to steal the goat, and Elegua had to save him. And he says, I'm not going to save you no more if you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Obeade says there's always an escape route. There's always a plan B. So you have to be very resourceful and not become discouraged when the first plan of action that you had thought of doesn't work, Good Odu.
Gotcha. All right, let's go about 10 more minutes left.
Righteous.
We still got 160 people in here.
Whoa.
So remember, super chats go straight to the top,
man.
guys.
You could be anywhere, man. Thank you.
Yeah, especially on a Sunday.
Yeah, man.
Right, here you go.
Can you speak on the Odu Yekun Pelekana, Omo Yemaya? Please crown. Please crown, please crown, please crown. Yemaya's children started crowning there. Yemaya played a huge role in the crowning process. A very important deity for you to receive one day is Orisha Ad, or Ad Shaluga, which is given by Babalawos. It was born in that Odu. And make sure in conjunction they give it to you like we give it to everybody with Eshu Alaje. Very important there. But some of my god kids that have gone through that process have done wonderfully. That's really it. Oyekun Pelekana, occasionally we have to appease the Yemaya Shoronga there, unfortunately, but, it provides good results. Please crown Yemaya, please.
All right.
Must be magic. How do we find you on TikTok? Well, I don't have a personal TikTok no more. It's Botanica Candles and More is the TikTok now.
There's actually and. You have to spell and.
Yeah, you have to spell and. There's no, is it called an ampersand?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, everything's through the Botanica page now. I had a personal one, but I mean, Phil has me so spoiled. I don't post anything really. I had like 2 song videos that did okay, and, I was like, I'm just snooping around on here, so let me just go on through here.
Can I give a shout out to Kathy? Because she runs the TikTok as well, too.
Kathy's a beast, man.
She does a lot of lives on TikTok.
Yeah. Shout out to Kathy.
Shout out to Kathy. So, all right, here we go.
How often should I change Elegua's offering? Should I give offerings every Monday? You should get offerings once a week. It doesn't have to be Monday. You should change them either once a week or whenever it starts going bad, whichever one comes first. Like, if you put something and it's already rotten one day later, throw that thing out, And the best place to offer to Eshu is actually the garbage that's in the Odu Yobe. But you have other options if you have the time, the woods, 4 corners, 3 corners, etc.
Okay. All right, let's go. Scroll. There's so many. Here you go.
Can you explain Iroso Umbo? Iroso Umbo, for the child of Elegua, it's a very ideal Odu because, the Godfather really can't charge them for certain things. It says that the Godfather is going to be blessed afterwards. But Iroso Umbo has to be very careful with their character because they were always doing things to impress people rather than for their own fulfillment. And that sign, Eshu did Ifa just to son Olokun's child, Omokun, because he was always sunning him for not being a Bawalao. So, it benefited him at the end of the day, but we shouldn't do things just to, try to impress people or one-up people. So, all right. Yeah. Thank you. Can you tell about another pataki of Ogunda Masa? Yeah, absolutely. Ogunda Masa. Trying to think. Oh, well, Ogunda Masa is actually one of the Odus where Eshu consumed cannabis. And it provided him a lot of solace and tranquility. It's not a taboo for him, or even for it to be consumed around him, to be frank with you. In that sign, Ogun broke the law. In that sign, Ogun wanted to leave Yoruba land for other horizons. He was told no, but he did it anyway. So at that point, Olodumare says, I never want him back here. So this Odu says that, if we're going to ask Ifa something, we have to be obedient. If not, we can't go running to Ifa when we don't get good results or repercussions. Ogunda Masa.
Okay. Let's see here. Did we do this one?
No. Can you speak on Osameji? Yeah, definitely. One of the most important Odus, period. It's where the Iyamio Shoronga first manifested. Osameji should be performing at Ipeshe semi-frequently. I wouldn't go past 3-4 months without doing Ipeshe, so you have to work out a plan with your Bawalao, because the Iyamio Shoronga there are horrible. That's the most important thing there. Make sure you're having a semi-frequent Ipeshe process on your behalf, because if not, they start turning your world upside down.
Okay. If you haven't yet, please like and share the live.
Thank you. Please do.
Yeah. Here we go.
Can you speak on Ogunda Owani, please, or Ogunda Leni? Ogunda Leni's sole focus should be on being a good father, or a good parent, or a good brother. And that Odu the person has to be careful not to become convoluted in a way where by trying or thinking they're helping somebody, they're actually hurting them. You know, that's where the three biggest pieces of advice manifested based on Ifa. You know, don't get involved in things that have nothing to do with you. Don't overreact. And the third one kind of escapes me, but it's something to the effect of the first two. And Ogunda Aleni has to be careful because it's an Odu of witchcraft where the person can become addicted to the art and practice of it, thus losing everything in transition. So focus on parenthood and focus on respecting others, and that's a decent Odu. Yeah.
Okay. Where someone's saying answer somebody's question. I don't see their question up here. Copy and paste 813's question because I don't see it up here. But this is funny.
So you can give Eshu weed if you run out of cigars. I'm just saying, in the Odu of Ogunda Masa, Eshu consumed cannabis. So however you want to react to running out of cigars, I mean, that's completely up to you. But Eshu did, he enjoyed it. And there's various, and I've gotten a lot of flack for this, you know, and cannabis is a plant, you know, everything in moderation. I don't think it can be held within the same category as some other narcotics, right, or however it's classified. But Orumila consumed cannabis and Ofum Batrupong or Ofum Mutaba. In Ogundamei, he consumed it. In Obarayekun, Elegua enjoyed it quite a bit. In Ogunda Bede, Elegua enjoyed it. In Ogunda Masa, Elegua enjoyed it. I mean, I know for a fact for Orumila and Eshu, it's not an issue whatsoever. And then you look at an Orisha like Shango, who has always had flames and smoke coming out of his mouth, like in the Odu of Otura Trupon, you know, makes you wonder. Iwori Yekun speaks of this as well. So Ifa says, you know, it's really not an issue, you know.
Okay. I got to put it on the screen. It's the very bottom one from Lisa Marie.
Awesome. Received my hand of Ifa and was told I need to do Ifa. What do you recommend to do? I want to learn more and be more hands-on in the religion, aside from attending my boeda. If you received hand of Ifa in the Lukumi tradition, doing Ifa or becoming, you know, a female version of a Babalao is impossible. If it's referring to working more Ifa, absolutely. You know, functioning more within the hand of Ifas that your spiritual house is doing. Any Sheshe, I'm not sure if you received there. You know, that is a possibility to do a Yang Ifa, of which we're not advocates based on traditional literature in the Odu of Irete Untelu or Ategbe. But yeah, absolutely. Get with your elders if they are trying to get you to just work more Ifa, you know, to see when you can go to the next hand of Ifa.
Okay. Boom.
Why can't women approach Orisha or feed Orisha when menstruating? Great question. There's one Orisha that doesn't have an issue with menstruations on a casual basis, and that is Orumila. Because in the Odu of Babai Rete Meji was where Orumila fell in a hole, and Ochun came to save him. To be able to get him out of the hole, she took off her clothes and made a rope, dropped it in the hole, and the part that Orumila had to grab on was the part that was near her private area that she was menstruating from. So he didn't want to touch it, but he's like, I got to get out of this hole. So he grabbed it, right? It was on his hands. And Ochun was, you know, quite a woman. She pulled him out. And he fell in love with her and thanked her. She nursed him back to health. She fixed his legs. And he said, from this day forward, you know, any of my daughters, if they ever want to attend to me, they don't have to wait till that stops, because their mother, Ochun, who's seen as the mother of everybody, saved me while she was going through that. So it's okay to take care of Ifa while you're menstruating. That's in the Odu of Baba Irete Meji, Baba Ate Meji. Now, the other Orishas are not fans, not even the female Orishas, because the menstruation has coagulations of blood, and that's where the Iami Oshoronga live. That's in Baba Osameji. That's why when we perform a blood sacrifice for most Orishas, other than the likes of Obatala and Odudua, we pour salt. And that's so the coagulation process is slowed down, giving the Orisha more time to consume the life force within it before it's corrupted by the influence of the Iami Oshoronga. So that's why the other Orishas don't like the menses, because they're like, the Iami are in there and they're destroying our medicine and our offerings. Because that's their thing. They're always trying to steal something. So that's why.
All right, we got a super chat. All right, this is gonna be the second to last question. Before you answer this question, if you're in the chat and you have a question, put a number between 1 and 10, and then I'll have Joseph pick a number. So,
oh gosh,
type a number between 1 and 10, and then we'll figure out what the last question of this live is. Also, before he does answer this, again, if you want to know more, if you want to join our membership, you can. It's very easy. There's a little button right under this video that says join our membership program, and you can click that. There's 3 separate tiers. We have live member shows. We have VIP member only shows. So if your question didn't get answered, you can join one of those programs, and we have your own custom videos and live Q&A shows just for you guys. Also, you get early releases and discounts on merch as well. So don't forget that as well. So, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the advice. I plan on crowning Obadala this year. Really looking forward to it. Once again, my Odu is Obada Trupong and a son of Obadala. Absolutely, yeah. So the day you have Obadala, you definitely want to go ahead and make sure the coconuts are always there because they represent the right and left hemisphere of the brain. And in that sign, it speaks of the intelligence of Obadala. So very important.
All right, pick a number between 1 and 10, Joe.
10.
Nobody picked a 10 yet.
Come on, guys. All right, hold on. 6.
6. Okay. Team Tireless Fishing. So their question was, let's see their last question in here. If you haven't, here you go. That's the weed one already. Let's see here if they have another one. All right, Team Tireless Fishing, you got it. So what's your question? So while we wait for them, I'll give you one more. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So Team Tireless Fishing, you get the last question. So.
Can you speak about the Elders of the Night? The Elders of the Night is no one other than the Iamio Shoronga, right? Or the witches, right? We say Elders of the Night out of respect to not, use a derogatory term like witch, right? So that's the Iamio Shoronga, born in Osameji. They receive offerings known as Ipeshe, covered in red palm oil. You have to invoke the verse of destruction. And we really, at least in our tradition and lineage, we really only bother them when they bother us. We only offer to them when they, need us, other than what the sign says. So, yeah, I mean, they're wild. Keep them happy and keep them far.
All right, Team Tireless Fishing has asked their question.
Nice.
I'm waiting for it to populate, but it's just I'll put it. Oh, my screen is glitching. Here it is. That one.
Benefits of having a gitana.
All right, before you answer that. All right, guys, that's it for the questions. So remember, join the membership program. So when we do come back here live, we'll have our own just questions for just a member. So if your question didn't get answered, don't fret. You can also ask questions on any of the videos because Joseph replies to literally everything.
Yeah. I really do. I try to stay active and reply to the things that really have a substance. So
okay, all right. Benefits.
The benefits of having a gitana, man, they're innumerable. It depends on what type of gitana too, because everybody's like, oh, Spain, I don't know, but when you actually look at the history of that archetype, it's kind of all over the world. Benefits, love is going to be the first one. Because they were just very romantic people. They were all about love and unity and freedom. Prosperity, they knew how to get to the bag. Happiness overall. They were always about a good time, a party, a couple drinks, good time. In spiritual development, the tarot is heavily associated with them. Oshun, because of the color yellow, is highly associated with them. But you could have a gitana that has to do with, or gitano, masculine as well, that has to do with any Orisha. And it might not have to do with an Orisha at all. Not every spirit has to do with an Orisha. Orisha did not, reach all ends of the earth within everybody's lifetime. So that's to be remembered as well. How do you take care of them generically? Kind of like how you take care of Ochung, some type of flowers, nice perfume, tarot deck that you use, food offerings of sweets and things like that. And as you learn about that specific one, you'll know what it likes specifically, because you might have a gypsy from Greece, a little octopus, a little tzatziki, I don't know. But benefits, innumerable. But they went through a lot of pain as well. When you look at processes like the Crusades or the Inquisition, a lot of those people were murdered. I mean, I tell you, you want to talk about an intense one, that it's not all flowers. I mean, I've actually seen muertos come down and gitanas come down, and they told the story of how they were lit on fire alive. You know what I'm saying? So it's a sad history too. It's not all just, flamenco and guitars. So benefits are great, but really learn the history and understand what those people went through. They were persecuted, better said.
All right, we got someone snuck in a super chat. So
oh my gosh.
There we go. This is it. This is no more. That's it. That's it.
Nice deep breath. Crafting with mama. Go ahead. Please, I did my hand to be fine. During the second day, I started spotting just a little. What does that mean? Nothing other than, you're healthy, right? Means nothing. Actually, I didn't want to bring it up because it's a delicate topic to a certain degree, but there's been, numerous women that I've heard that, in the Santos that I've performed the sacrifice at and whatnot, and, the Madrina comes to the side and be like, hey, we have this situation. Does it affect anything? And the answer is no. It doesn't affect anything. The show must go on. So if it happened at that moment, that's because God wanted it to happen at that moment. So it doesn't take away the legitimacy of any process whatsoever, especially in the hand of Ifa, because Orula, he wasn't affected by that negatively at all. Okay. Fret not.
Well, good. Wow, man.
Whoa, what
Give
a
shout
marathon.
out. There's still 170 people watching, so.
Wow, man. God is so good, dog. Yeah. Honestly, thank you all. Just a moment of direct conversation with y'all. Thank you very much. It's been a very blessed week. A lot of activity going on at the store, the channel. We just went over 125,000 subscribers. Courses are going on. Consultations are going on. Initiations are going on. I just want to thank my family, my wife, my children, and for the support to be able to hold this all together, and to support her as well, with all the work that Erica and Phil do to make all this a possibility. So love you all, and can't wait to do this again. If I could, I'd go live every week, but we got episodes, you know what I'm saying? We got a protocol. I got to do what Phil says, so love you guys, man. Don't want to make it too formal. You guys know the deal. Botanica Candles and More, Our Roots Podcast. Big thank you. Shout out to all the members that are watching, everybody that tuned in. Have a blessed week, and until next time, see the light, family.